We live in a remarkable time when it comes to reading the Bible, especially reading the Bible online in an electronic form, having access to biblical texts and resources that were unthinkable a generation ago. When I was growing up in a church, we had one Bible translation that we used. Maybe you would have two, or very occasionally there might be a third, like maybe a children's Bible or something floating around. If you needed a new Bible, you would go to the Christian bookstore, you'd pick out a Bible. Usually it would be the same translation that you had been reading, but with some new features or some new format that you wanted. But the availability and access to a variety of translations was just not there. The Christian bookstores were very limited also in the ones that they carried and the ones that they marketed. There were translations that were just completely unavailable to me. When I went to college, I began to learn about the existence of new translations. I got my first New Revised Standard Version, which was the red New Oxford Annotated Bible, and with all of its scholarly notes, which initially were disorienting and a little upsetting, but ended up really opening up a new world of knowledge and research for me. I started going to niche bookstores, used bookstores with scholarly resources, the Episcopal bookstores at the Episcopal Church, the Catholic bookstore at the Catholic Church in Greenville, the one in Augusta, Georgia, and having access to some new translations I had never seen. The fact is that now, when somebody is growing up in the church or not in the church, they have the access to a huge number of different translations, unusual translations, new translations, old translations, and any number of resources that can help you read those passages critically, to understand what's going on in the Hebrew and Greek even, and to have access to all kinds of different ways of searching and tracking and analyzing biblical passages. There's an unprecedented amount of access. The question that I have is whether this access to these new translations and these news forms is making a difference or not. In this video, I want to look quickly at a couple of different websites that we can use for reading the Bible online, and I want to raise the question, what are the different ways of reading that these sites make available to people, and what is the likelihood that people will actually take advantage of them? First, we have the BibleGateway.com website, which is an excellent website. It is the one that has the New Revised Standard Version available, which is the standard academic version that I use in class. You can also get it in a couple of different adjusted editions. But you'll see here, there's a huge number of English Bibles available on this website, in addition to Bibles in other languages. If there's another language that you know or that you are learning, chances are there is a Bible on here that you can use. So when you pull up one of these versions, you can then search for a biblical passage. So you can go in and just read the passage like this. I believe that most people read online Bibles in exactly this way. They will pull up a version, which is the version that they like, and then they will read that version. The fact is, however, that these sites make available a different way of reading, which is to put stuff into parallel, so that we can bring in the Living Bible and the easy-to-read version and the New International Version, and compare these different readings and translations as we go. In addition to reading in this scrolling format, you can also search. So we can search for that, we can search for that, we can search for that. We might decide that these verses have some connection to each other, and so we can then read them in parallel as we go. So the ability here to read different translations, to compare translations, to read them at the same time, to not only just read straight through, but to jump in and out of the text. This gives us an ability to read and analyze in a way that we've never had before. Bible Gateway is, as you know, if you've been in my class, is the site that I will often use and recommend for people doing online study. It's not the only one. There is this site, which is called the studybible.info site. And what I like about it is the access to a huge number of old translations. So here you see they're arranged as literal translations. We talked a little bit about Julius Smith and Young's literal previously. These are some 19th century translations that are strange and worth looking at. Interlinears, modernized KJVs. It's worthwhile asking, how do different people modernize KJVs? Early Modern English, these are the pre-KJV versions that have Strong's numbers, which enables you to search the underlying Hebrew and Greek words behind the English text. It's not a perfect system, but it's available in copyright and works okay. You can read the Septuagint translation. You can read Greek New Testaments in a variety of versions, including the SBL Greek New Testament, which is very good. It's the one I would read out of all the ones listed on this list. You can read the Hebrew Bible, Latin, German, French. Here we have other versions, and here you can read, some of the stranger, less common ones. The Leeser Old Testament is the first Jewish translation into American English, which we talked about. Noah Webster's KJV revision, the Goodspeed New Testament from the 1920s. These are all really good to read and interesting. So you can have access to strange, bizarre, different, curious translations, translations with historical interest that go beyond just, I want to find out what the Bible says. And this is all free here on studybible.info. This site, Bible.com, which is quite a get for whoever registered Bible.com back in 1995 or whenever they did it, is a site where you can download an app. But you can also read here on the site. And what I wanted to show you was they have tons of translations available, a lot of the same ones we've seen before, and some new ones. Let me pull this like this so we can see all of them. So Young's Literal Translation, the Messianic Bible, Orthodox Jewish Bible, God's Word Translation, the Douay-Rheims Catholic Translation. So there's a lot of variety here, but the ones that are marked with these little audio symbols are ones that you can listen to. So if we pull the ESV up.
Genesis, chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness.
So we can listen to the text as it is read. This gives us the ability to just listen to it when we can't read it, or to study it along with reading and listening at the same time, which is supposed to be a good way to learn. And there's a variety of different ones, so you can compare and contrast. I think it's a tremendous resource. This is at Bible.com. Here is the netbible.org. The Net Bible is a royalty-free online version that is a pretty good translation, but what sets the Net Bible apart, and it's kind of amazing to have this as a free resource, are the translator's notes. I think as translator's notes go, they are clearly the best ones available freely, and among the best that there are in standard translations. So we can pull up a controversial passage, let's say Isaiah 7, where you've got the young woman virgin question. Scroll down here to the verse 14. For this reason, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Look, the young woman is about to conceive. And if you click on that over here, traditionally virgin, and then they mention Matthew 1:23 and talk about Alma and Parthenos and how we might go about translating that term. Regardless of the meaning of the term in the OT context, in the New Testament, Matthew's use of the term clearly indicates the virgin birth has taken place. So they are trying to be sensitive to theological readings while providing a good, historically, linguistically based discussion of the Hebrew text and the translation of the Hebrew as well. It's, I think, a very good resource, netbible.org. If you're trying to get access to the Hebrew, there are a couple of websites that you might try. BlueLetterBible.org does let you look up a Hebrew text. So I can go in here and search for Isaiah 7:14 and choose the WLC, which is the Westminster Leningrad Codex. That's the Hebrew text. And you'll see they've pulled it up. And if you know the Hebrew, you're good. If you don't know the Hebrew, now you need analysis. So you can click over here where it says Tools, and now I have this little toolbox that will let you open interlinears and let you read it in different translations and images. It's actually a really cool interface. So you can go down here and look at Alma, and you can look up the phrase in the different versions. That's kind of cool. And then you can also get access to the Strong's number H5959. This does a search using the Strong's to every time this word appears in the Hebrew Bible. So you can go down here and read the Gesenius entry for that, which is of some value. But what's really cool is then you can then read the verses that have that noun in it. And if I go here, I can read those verses in the English Bible. And so I know if I go to Tools, I can narrow this down to find out which word I'm dealing with. But I know that these verses use that Hebrew term, Alma, because I've done a search on the underlying Hebrew, and now I'm reading that search result in English. I do this in accordance all the time, and I do this in class for you guys, but to be able to do it with a free online resource without having to pay the licensing for the application of Accordance or Logos or whatever you're using is really helpful. It's not perfect, and there's some issues, but for doing basic, low-level, what is the word here and how else is it used, say you're preparing for a Bible study or something or writing a paper, this is really useful. You can do a similar kind of thing at BibleHub.com, which lets you look at the Hebrew text here. Similar kind of thing. You see here's Genesis 1:1. I can go through and pick the verse I want. And over here, these are the Strong's numbers. So I can look up where does tohu appear. Let's do vohu. You'll see vohu is only there in that one place. Quickly, before we go, I want to look at a couple of things that really raise questions. I've looked at resources that are available to us that provide an amazing array of possibilities for reading translation, studying the Bible critically, reviewing what the Bible says on particular topics, preparing papers and Bible studies, and finding passages that you know about but you can't quite remember where it is, connecting passages that are linked linguistically but you didn't realize. We have all that stuff available to us right here free online. There are some problems. One problem is that when we go online, it seems like there is this tendency to engage not more deeply, which is what I'm arguing for, but rather on a more shallow basis. And one site that does that in a breathtaking way is Top Verses. And it is the Bible sorted. And what it gives you is the top verses in the Bible, numbered 1 through 31,105, based on search results, based on the search algorithm. So the text that is linked and searched and the most online is John 3:16, not a surprise. John 1:1, John 14:6, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Suffice to say that if you analyze Top Verses, what you discover is that people are linking to and reading verses that serve one of three purposes. They are therapeutic in some way. They're about emotion, feeling, confidence. They have to do with the personal, spiritual, emotional well-being, therapeutic. Or they are linking Old and New Testament in a prophecy fulfillment mode. You see those kinds of connections, and that's primarily how the Old Testament is quoted in the upper echelon of Top Verses. Or they are verses that relate in some way to controversial topics. These are things you would link if you were arguing online about homosexuality, or arguing online about money, or arguing online about the end times or something like that. You would link to those verses. So even though I think this is an abomination, it is interesting as a window into which verses do people like and why. But where it goes off the rails is, first of all, it's based around this idea that a Bible verse is a thing, that a Bible verse exists. And we've talked in class about how that's not true. There are passages, there are poems, there are letters, there are narratives, and individual sentences and phrases and ideas and claims and rhetorical strategies contained within those texts. But you can't break the Bible down into a series of numbered utterances. They are a convenience. But what happens is, because they were put into the English Bible, people began to think of them as real, as things that exist, and that I can quote John 10:10 as a thing. John 10:10 is not a real thing. This is a marker to a particular part of this text. It is a shortcut. It's a bookmark. It's not an actual thing. That's another subject for another day. So top verses, fascinating and horrifying. Also, I wanted to say a quick word about this .bible domain, which is being administered by the American Bible Society. And what's fascinating about this is that you can register a website .bible. So I could do brianbibb.bible. That would be actually kind of interesting. Bibb.bible. If that's not available, I should probably register that. But when you sign up for this, you agree to follow a certain approach. You agree to treat the Bible in a certain way. And the policy says that you must deal with the Bible in a way that is, here they call it, positive promotion. So you're not allowed to do anything that would consider to be anti-Bible and have a .bible domain. Well, here's a question. Is critical scholarship anti-Bible? Are my videos that discuss questions of authorship and redaction, calling into question historical accuracy, suggesting that certain texts need to be read against, right? The kind of critical approach we take to the Bible, is that anti-Bible? I don't think it is. Some people might, and it doesn't necessarily line up with that positive portrayal threshold that they have for the .bible website. So I think there are some more things to be said about this as well, and we need to wait and see how things really play out over time. But sites like Top Verses and .bible, and certainly any number of other websites that deal with the Bible online, really raise a lot of questions, and there are a lot of problems there. There are some good things, which I've emphasized in the first part of this video, but it's not all good. I would argue that much more of it is problematic, and that'll be the focus of a later video. Thank you.